Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are tuning in today. This is a global program, so we have people joining us from all over the place. And again, I want to welcome you to the marketing seminar for corporate governance, maximize your effectiveness in the boardroom. So why learn corporate governance through Wharton Online? One, we are all busy professionals. We are executives and we are global. So having this corporate governance program that is so timely in such a economy that is moving, and we have this macroeconomic factors that affect what we do on a day-to-day basis. How do we govern that? So learning how to navigate through corporate governance through Wharton, wherever you are in the world, really allows this opportunity for all of us to come together and have this learning experience. So the Wharton School, as you know, very traditional school. It was founded in 1881. The business school is one of the best and most recognizable global and intellectual, led by intellectual leadership and ongoing innovation across every major discipline of business education. And this is a broad global community and one of the most published business school faculties in the world. So we have so many different programs going on, this being one of our best. We have 50 online that you can choose from with more than 3 million learners worldwide. We have some of you here today that have taken other Wharton Executive Education programs, or this might be your first. So we'll navigate this through together. So I want to introduce to you our Dean, Erica James. One of the greatest deans I've had the pleasure of working with. I love this quote: today's environment means you can't afford to simply respond to or manage change. The best businesses must anticipate change and even intentionally create change so as not to become complacent. And at Wharton, we are excited to be the partner to help you get you there. And this is the perfect quote for this program, definitely. So who is this program for? So the corporate governance program maximizes your effectiveness in the boardroom. So what does that mean? It's designed to give participants a deeper understanding of corporate governance and to help boost their effectiveness in the corporate board. The program is great for if you want to be on the board, if you are already on the board, or senior executives. If you're wanting to understand how to work with board members, that C-suite executives, this is the opportunity to find out what the roles and responsibilities are for those members and for those directors. Also attorneys, we have attorneys that take this program because it's always a changing climate when it comes to corporate governance. And depending on the size of your company, how new your company is, what are the roles and responsibilities of that corporate, the fiduciary responsibilities of the board, and being able to have your finger on the pulse of that board. So moving on, we have key takeaways. Wharton's corporate governance program explores the role, structure, and responsibilities of corporate governance. And this helps you succeed as a board member or as one of those C-suite executives or attorney working with boards. So this will help define the board's roles and responsibilities as well as the characteristics of successful board leaders. It will ensure proactive governance and learn how to prepare for potential risk. Recognize key considerations of compensation and succession planning, all responsibilities of the board. Also define strategies for board members, executives, and other environmental, social, and governance, that ESG integrators, to respond to conflicting demands and societal changes to their organization. Corporations 10, 20 years ago are totally different from what they are today, especially having gone through a global pandemic, being more globalized as we ever have been before through technologies and supply chains, being able to work on a global platform. That means we have to learn more about how our boards work in those environments. Also, how to plan to how to manage the competing interest of stakeholders and shareholders. You see the headlines more and more. You see those pressures from the stakeholders and from the shareholders for change, and that goes back to the dean's message about change. So let's go ahead and look at the program overview. So today's organizations are working harder than ever to adapt to a rapidly changing world, and this requires effective corporate governance that can help them increase their accountability and avoid major disasters while also being responsive to stakeholder concerns and more transparent with investors. And whether you're on a board or looking to join one, this program will help you navigate unexpected enterprise risk while capably monitoring financial performance. And so from the technical responsibilities of a board to the nuances of guiding an organization through contemporary challenges, you'll get a comprehensive overview of the role of corporate governance and gain critical insights into the realities of board services. So here are some quotes. This is from the Harvard 2020 Global and Regional Corporate Governance Trends. 10%, just 10% of Russell 3000 directors are members of an ethnic minority group, and only 15% of new directors are ethnically diverse. So that's that DI, that diversity inclusion. 25% over the past 5 years, the US increased the corporate governance scores by 25%, nearly 4 times more than Brazil and Canada. And that is from a report also from 2020. So these are those 2 of those factors that we look at through this program. Why is it? How can you diversify your board more? What does that even mean? And how can we score better for corporate governances? Who do we report to? How are stakeholders and shareholders looking at these reports? So moving on, Mary Hunter McDonald, Dr. McDonald, Professor McDonald, she is an associate professor of management at Wharton and specializes in organizational behavior at the Wharton School. And she studies organizational behavior within challenging institutional contexts. So as contentious social environments and uncertain regulatory environments are impacting our industries, she brings the latest and the greatest industry studies, case studies, and what we need to know to better our industries and our own organizations. She will have a great introduction when you get into this program. She'll be leading this program. It's an asynchronous program, but she'll have video after video on these different topics that we'll cover here in just a second. We also have an attorney that has helped with this program. This is Sean McDonald, and he's a partner with Mayor Brown. And he works out of Washington, D.C. and is a member of the Global Litigation Dispute Resolution. And he used to be the assistant state attorney's office assistant U.S. state attorney as well. And he has first chaired several jury trials to verdict and oversee large-scale investigations, including complex wiretap and forensic financial investigations. And he's also prosecuted a variety of cases involving, among other things, tax fraud, wire fraud, insurance fraud, bank fraud, and public corruption. All that you'll learn through this program. How do boards navigate through that? So as far as topics, we have 6 modules, and basically each week is a module. So you'll start the program with an orientation week, and this is where we go over the program a little bit more in detail, and we also help you navigate through our learning platform. Once we get through that, you'll have the courses open up for you. So the first module will open up, and this is the module on introducing you to corporate governance. What is corporate governance? In this module, you'll learn the fundamentals of corporate governance and board membership, and you'll learn the manner in which corporate governance is structured and which factors influence corporate governance practices around the world. So this module is devoted to understanding the board's monitoring function and how its activities are also monitored. You'll also learn how directors monitor their organization and how stakeholders monitor their directors. Then we have Module 2. Module 2 is built more on diversity and inclusion. And in this module, Professor McDonald explains diversity in terms of its real and perceived value of corporate boards. And you'll discover the kind of diversity boards that should aim to achieve, that you want to achieve, and determine the extent to which this is carried out in real world examples. I love that we incorporate a lot of case studies into this program. Also, you'll have a program leader that will fold in some current events, what's going on in the headlines in your country, and how we can help navigate through that. You'll also explore the challenges that diversity brings, both in terms of acquiring diverse talent and deriving the maximum value from those members. Professor McDonald shares proven strategies that boards can adopt to improve board culture. We also have Module 3 that goes into compensation and succession. Believe it or not, these are board functions. And in this module, you'll learn the basic components of executive compensation, the purpose of competitive offers, and what shareholders can do to prevent financial reward they deem to be irresponsible. You see the headlines of the CEOs of companies and how much they're making. What is responsible? How does the board maneuver through that and navigate through that? Furthermore, you'll discover how executive compensation as part of the corporate governance is shaped by public opinion and cultural norms globally. In Module 4, let's go back up here. We describe how a board can manage crisis situations or internal investigations. We've seen those headlines as well. And in today's media headlines, we see controversy can run wild. So what role does the board have in light of crisis and controversies? In Module 5, we go into ESG. This is environmental, social, and governance. And you may have heard a lot about this, especially in the last 5 to 10 years. We also talk about shareholder engagement. We gain insights into the challenges and benefits inherent in ESG and outline considerations for developing an optimal organizational level ESG strategy. In Module 6, this is our final module, we balance the stakeholder and shareholder interest in this one. And this is where we recognize the influence of non-market factors, such as external social, political, and legal forces, those macroeconomic factors like maybe a global pandemic. What influence do these have on organizations? And how can a board recognize these influences and help the corporation maneuver? So wonderful, wonderful content here. Professor McDonald has taken a great amount of time to put together this content for you with all the latest and greatest information. So you will not see anything that is not pertinent to today's business climate. And as far as your program experience, we will have this set up again as an asynchronous program. And we do that intentionally because we have executives, busy executives globally here, all different time zones, all different levels of where we are with our businesses. Some of us are closing months and quarters and reporting to boards and having board meetings and traveling and such. So we do this in essence so that you can continue to learn and to gain that body of knowledge to add value to your company, to your organization. And the more you put into this program, you're going to get more out of. So we have discussion boards. This is how we really connect with others in the program. The discussion boards will have, a case study that we get to discuss. You'll see what other people, how they perceive the case study. Some questions might be brought up, like this is what we do in Singapore. What is the UK doing facing this challenge. And this is a great way for globally how we all network and interact and really reflect back on those different perceived perceptions. We also have polls that go on so you can see, where people are in different areas that pertain to corporate governance. We have a lot of reflection. We have industry examples. Each week you're going to have what's called an office hour, and this program will allow you to have this live session, sometimes even with faculty, where you get more of those industry examples, not just the case studies in this program, but hey, this is what's going on now. How does this impact you as an individual? How does this impact your board, your organization? There are assignments. There are also those live office hours. We have triad activities, and we also have self-study quizzes. So what do you expect each week? So this is bite-sized learning. Each module is a week long. It does have a time commitment, and the time commitment is 4 to 6 hours, sometimes greater, sometimes less. Those 4 to 6 hours is very, very important to kind of set aside to keep pace with the rest of the program. And why this is important is those office hours on a weekly basis. You kind of have to know what we're talking about in each module to really be able to interact with other people from the cohort. This is a 6-week program. We do have assignments and quizzes. We have peer learning discussions and the webinars that help broaden those perspectives, help solidify that theory to practice. Now that we're reading about this, how do we incorporate that into our day-to-day lives? There's also the frequent course communications from your program leader to help guide you through this experience. So upon successful completion of the program, you will earn a digital certificate of completion from the Wharton School. And you'll be issued this usually within a month of completion. And it's a great way to post on LinkedIn, for instance, or your Facebook, Twitter, say, hey, I've earned this certificate. It also helps you when you're looking for that board position, or for your C-suite saying, look, I've been in this program through Wharton. I understand the fundamentals of the board. I can work with that board. I can work with our investors with the board. And again, it's a great achievement. And putting that on the wall in your office is definitely something to stir some great conversations. So this, what's the next steps? So the next steps is, we have advisors online today if you do have questions. I think they're posting things in the chat for you right now. There's a brochure that goes into this a little bit more in detail. You can refer to our website, the Executive Education website, to find out, when is the next program. We have where you can schedule the call, and that information again is in the chat. Schedule a call with the advisor. Ask those questions. I'm in Australia. Is this something that's doable for me? Or I am an executive, I'm a CEO for my company. Is this manageable? What about, fees and referrals? How can I save on those? So please reach out to us. Again, this program, it's an incredible opportunity. Some of the best faculty is working on this program, helping guide you through the governance and board trials and tribulations that they go through. There's a lot of great case studies, again, some of the big ones that you've learned from already, and then some newer ones that really helps open your eyes to the risk and liabilities, the fiduciary responsibilities of the board, and their impact on your other stakeholders as well. And again, it's that theory to practice. We can read about this, but having that faculty right there telling you the main parts of corporate governance that you need to understand, amazing. How much opportunity to interact with other participants will we have? It depends on you. So we have those group discussions every week where it is not live interaction, but you get to interact with people. When you go into that first orientation week, you'll have an opportunity to meet other people from the program. And you'll also be able to update your profile. So you can put in your LinkedIn, you can connect with others that update their profiles as well, and be able to connect that way. Our weekly office hours are live. So typically each week you have an opportunity to come together and discuss the modules, discuss current events, news headlines, what's going on, asking questions as well, and what challenges are you facing? So this is a great opportunity to have those live discussions. Sometimes they have breakout sessions where you go in and even network a little bit more and understand the dynamics of the group and the dynamics of what other industries and corporations are facing. So that interaction time is there on a weekly basis, but also asynchronous through the online discussions. How do corporate recruiters view this program? Does the program provide network opportunities with recruiters? It does not provide networking unless there are people that are in the program that are recruiters. Usually, that is a question that is posed to the program leader, to the faculty. You know, now that I've gone through this program, how do I get on a board? And a lot of that is through networking. Believe it or not, you often have a separate resume even for corporate boards. If that is something that is part of your next steps is to serve on a corporate board, there are recruiters for boards, but typically people are getting onto boards through networking. And so that's a great question. Definitions of fiduciary duty changes by country, yes, and Professor McDonald does go into that at quite length. Is this addressed? Yes, it is. A lot of the case studies are U.S. focused, as far as, you know, if you are a U.S. corporate board for a publicly traded company. A lot of the case studies are focused on that and those board responsibilities, the fiduciary responsibilities and duties of the board and of the members and the directors of the board. So a lot of it is US based, but she really goes into more of how you'd say compensation for a CEO in the US may be different from that of like Japan. And we bring in a lot of different responsibilities, but it is a lot US based. How many of the alumni of this program have joined renowned companies internationally? That's not really a question I can answer at this point, but that is a great question. Through Wharton, there is an alumni program that once you take so many of these courses, you can be a part of, that opens up that global alumni program for you. And it may be a little bit easier to answer those questions as far as how many. I do know that there are people already in renowned companies that take this program. Looking at some of the participants, they're from all different corporations, some that are those names that we all know globally, and some that are a little bit smaller. Wonderful. I think that is all that we have today. I really appreciate your time today. Again, thank you so much, and be sure to reach out to our advisors. They are a wealth of information. They can give you the information that you're requesting, go into it a little bit further as far as what dates, time commitments, how do I sign up for the one that's coming up? It's just around the corner. It's very timely. You'll be done and ready to go. One more question. Does corporate governance apply to public service organizations? Typically, corporate governance means any organization. Corporate governance, even for not-for-profit, everyone has, or most companies have a board. So if you have a board, If you have regulations and compliance that you have to adhere to, that is what corporate governance is. If you have investors that want to find out how do you manage your organization, that's why you need to have corporate governance. This program is focused more on public traded companies, on public, they have to report to the SEC, NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange. What are their responsibilities? They also have committees like the audit committee, the compliance committee, all these different committees. What are their roles? What are their responsibilities? And how do executives interact with these different committees? So on that note, not so much on the public service side, because on the public service side, you may not see as many of those committees. You might have a finance committee, an audit committee, but maybe not as large as like a publicly traded company. So wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and I hope to see you again at our next session. Thank you.